Traders, the indices are dropping like stones. The safe havens are gathering strength. So how are we going to trade these big moves? Well, let's find out. Welcome to Simply Forex, the channel that provides you with in-depth market analysis, trade ideas, tips, and advice so you too can succeed at trading. And if you stay till the end of the vid, guys, I'm going to give you all of my swing trades for this week. If that sounds like a plan, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. As I said, guys, right, we've got so many things to look at. So we're going to look at the indices. They're dropping like stones and the impact this is having on flight to safety or safe haven currencies and commodities. We've got the US dollar. Are we bullish? Are we bearish? We're going to take a look at that. The euro's really interesting right now. It had a massive buying frenzy, then it sold off a bit last week. Where are we with the euro? And we're going to take a look at yen and precious metals as well, including gold, which is just ripping. And we've even got a trade for you Bitcoin crypto enthusiasts. So where to start, guys? Let's make sense of it all by looking at the chart. Let's start with the US dollar. Let's start with the greenback. Now, generally speaking, across most US dollar majors, I am still bullish US dollar, right? So if we look at a handful of different US dollar majors, so this is pound US dollar. We've hit this resistance level and look at these wicks, right? That suggests that this still has a little bit more room to the downside, right? So that's US dollar strength. Euro, as I explained, has been a bit of a crazy one, and we'll look at this in more detail. But in terms of the US dollar, we still have this big wick, this big bearish candle, bit of a doji this week. I still think this has room to the downside, right? It's got all of this room to move into. Okay, so bullish US dollar. Now, I don't want to sell pound US dollar or euro US dollar. The setups are not good enough. But a couple of pairs I am interested in is Aussie dollar US dollar, right? Because you can see that on this weekly chart, right, we was in this downtrend, and now we're, just a little bit scruffy price action, right? But really it's kind of just ranging between this support level and this resistance level. Now, ever since it's hit this resistance level, look at the candles, okay? Bearish, that top wick is bearish, okay? So I do want to sell Aussie dollar US dollar, and I would sell it back down to these lows here in this 0.62 thousand psychological level. All right, so Aussie dollar US dollar I want to sell, and New Zealand dollar US dollar. Okay, so obviously these two are highly correlated pairs, right? You don't need me to tell you that, but same scenario, right? We've hit a resistance level here. This is a key support level, and you will see if we zoom into price action, very similar to Aussie dollar US dollar, but we're in a bit of a range, really. We're ranging between this resistance in here and these lows here, right? And because we've got these two big bearish weekly candles, one after the other, what I also like is the body of this candle has broke the low of that candle. That suggests momentum. Like Aussie dollar US dollar, we're just trying to take it back down to these lows, right? And this 500-600 psychological level. All right, so Aussie dollar US dollar, New Zealand dollar US dollar sells. So I'm bullish US dollar. However, I am not bullish US dollar when it comes to the safe havens, right? So if we look at US dollar Japanese yen, I would suggest this is in fact a sell trade, right? We've got lower highs, right? We're in this weekly downtrend, lower lows, clearly in a downtrend, and at this last resistance level we've got this bearish candle. I know it's green, but the top wick, guys, that is a bearish selling candle. So this suggests US dollar yen sells. Okay, so flight to safety, safe haven, I am not bullish on US dollar. In fact, the opposite. US dollar Swiss franc, obviously Swiss franc is a safe haven. This is not a good setup, but look at that weekly candle. That's still bearish. can it make it back down to these lows? Not a trade idea, but I don't want to buy US dollar Swiss franc. And as for gold, right, gold against the US dollar, as a safe haven, gold has just been absolutely tearing, right? Look at that. It's just, I don't think I've seen anything tear so much in all of my trading years. And just look at the weekly candles. It looks like there's no let up, right? They're just all super bullish. I mean, fundamentally, everything is perfect for gold strength, right? Lower interest rates from the Fed was suggested. Central banks buying up gold bullion. It's a safe haven and there's lots of turbulence in the world, plus the indices are dropping, right? I get it. Fundamentally, gold is just tearing. But the problem we keep having with gold is there any value in buying up here? And the answer is no, right? It's been very difficult to jump in on this. If we go to the day chart, right, there was this candle last week, right, that just about broke these highs. But again, I don't want to start buying up here. I want to move back to the moving average 20, right? Something, perhaps back down to these lows. Then I'm interested. It's been such a difficult commodity to get in on. But, we want to buy gold, but getting in on the trade is another matter. Now, interestingly, right, while we're on precious metals and flight to safeties, right, silver, right, because obviously gold, silver, and copper are all not highly correlated, but correlated, right? They're going to move, the same way, right? They're all precious metals. Now, if we look at silver, if we go to the weekly chart, right, we are interestingly still at a key resistance level, right? So could this be the catalyst where we do see some sellers with silver, right? Could well be, right? If we look at copper, right, on the weekly chart, we are literally at this last high over here, right? You can see this is a real important big psychological level at this 5,2000 level here. And look at that candle. What a sell-off that is. So silver and copper, right, are suggesting we could see some room to the downside. Will this play into gold having a retrace? We will wait and see. But, there's some clues there with other precious metals, right? So silver and copper are arguably trades that we want to retrace, right? We want to take the retrace trade. So there you go, guys. Interested at the moment with precious metals, but gold, just tearing. Unbelievable. If you own gold, guys, melt it down, sell it, and you'll be a millionaire, right? Simple as that. So there you go, guys. We've looked at US dollar. We've looked at some of the flight to safeties. We've looked at precious metals. Let's take a look at yen now, okay? Because if we look at yen pairs in general, right? If we look at Aussie dollar yen, they're between a rock and a hard place. Now, with the indices dropping, okay, let's take a quick look at the indices as well. So with the indices dropping, look at the NASDAQ, right? Look at that weekly candle, uber bearish, right? So, this candle's suggesting we can make it back down to these lows here, right? That's what price action is telling me. Downtrend, big bearish candle, room to move into. This will logically be the next piece of support where we could find buyers, right? So with that in mind, there's further room to the downside, and that's going to lead to further flight to safety strength. Gold will become stronger if possible, right? Yen will become strong, Swiss franc to a degree, okay? So it's important that we understand that dynamic and that correlation. This is the NASDAQ, there's the S&P, right? They're all, they all have this room to come down into, right? Now, considering that and looking at yen pairs, you would automatically assume that Aussie dollar yen would be a sell trade, right? Or euro yen would be a sell trade. And I would agree from a fundamental point of view, totally would. But the problem with a lot of these yen pairs is they're between a rock and a hard place. We know that this is proving to be very good support. We know it's support. You can see it on the chart, right? But, and there is a big but, right? We are in a weekly downtrend, okay? And we've got these big bearish wicks bouncing off of this resistance level, right? If there was no, if we zoom in a little bit, if there was no support here, right, I would be selling these all day. I'd be like, sell trades, guys, let's start selling Aussie dollar yen. And they still might be, right? They could well come back down, you know, back to 93, even 92. But technically, I don't want to sell into that support, right? And it's the same with a lot of yen pairs, right? If we look at Canadian dollar yen, okay, same scenario, right? We're in this weekly downtrend. We want to sell. We've got bearish wicks on our candles. We want to take price back down to these lows. And I would suggest that's likely what's going to happen, especially with all the fundamental news to back up yen strength, right? But I don't want to sell into this support level, right? It's proven itself again and again. Even here, it proved that it was good support. Now, the one yen pair I do like is New Zealand dollar yen because it has a lot of room to move back into. Now, again, this is still good support, right? Down here, if I get my big head out of the way, yeah, it's proven to be good support, right? Okay, but this pair just seems to have a little bit more room to move into. Again, same with pretty much all the yen pairs, right? We're in this downtrend. Last week, we saw this yen strength. The week before, we had a nice bearish candle. And this week just finished, we've got a bearish wick, right? A bearish candle. So New Zealand yen, out of all the yen pairs, I like this for a trade back down to 84. Okay, so New Zealand yen sells is a trade idea. And another yen pair I like, interestingly, is Swiss franc yen sells. Now, that just goes to show how stronger yen is as a flight to safety, right? Because Swiss franc is a flight to safety as well. But when you think of flight to safety, you immediately go to yen. And yen is obviously a stronger flight to safety than Swiss franc. Otherwise, I wouldn't be seeing this trade. And I like this as well. So if we go to weekly chart, right, we're in this downtrend and we've retraced to the moving average 20, right, which is dynamic resistance. At that level, just look at the wicks we're getting. Again, with all the yen pairs, we're seeing these bearish wicks. I know these are green bodies, but those candles are bearish because of those wicks. And with this pair, I like the fact that we've got a couple of targets. So we could start selling Swiss franc yen back down to this support level through here, right? If not, all the way back down to these weekly lows here. All right. And again, you know, we find ourselves at a yen support level, but it's got a lot of room to move into. All right. So they're the two yen pairs I like. New Zealand yen sells, Swiss franc yen sells. The next thing to look at, guys, is the euro. Before we take a look at the euro, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button, guys. If you haven't already, please come join our trading community. It's free, right? You can talk to like-minded traders, share knowledge, ideas, have a chit chat. So please come join our free Discord channel. It's free. Come join. Also, guys, if you want access to our premium trading education, which includes the Simply Forex Complete Trading Course, access to the VIP Discord, and my mentorship program where I coach you one-on-one. If you're interested in any of those things, please check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. So yeah, go check all of that out, guys. Right, euro. This is what we're looking at now. So if we pick any euro pair, right, let's have a look at euro CAD. Now, this is the weekly chart, right? And we know the euro was just tearing, right? The euro was on steroids or something, right? It was definitely taking something. It had some performance enhancing drug, I'm sure. Probably the ECB, right? But anyway, euro was just tearing. Okay, and then we saw this big wick, which signaled a sell-off, right? And it dropped, right? It dropped from that candle. That's dropped almost, right, 300 pips or so, right? So a big sell-off. But then we end up with a candle that looks like this, right? A weekly bullish candle. Now, is that a buying opportunity? Right, we've got this big sell-off candle, we've got this buying candle, right? So we've got this real conflict here. So to make sense of it, I would drop down a time frame and I would look at the daily chart. Okay, now just looking at the weekly, this was an old target, guys, which it hit, right? Because it comes charging down. If you look, guys, you know, potentially it still has lots of room to move into. It's still nowhere near the moving average 20 because it just shot off, right? So there's still lots of room to the downside, regardless of this wick, right? But you can't ignore it, right? Don't ignore that information. So let's drop down to the day chart. And you can see we are in a downtrend now, right? We was at this level and then bang, we're in a downtrend. It's retraced. We're below the moving average 20 now, right? If I drag this level across, if we start getting, you know, big bearish candles at this level, I will still be looking for sells with euro Canadian dollar, right? Because of this room it still has to move into and the fact that it is below the moving average 20 now as well. My bias is generally to sell because of that reason. All right. Now, it's not super duper A1 top notch trade, this sell, because of, we go back to the weekly chart, because of that weekly bullish candle. So the euro has become tricky, is my point, guys, right? You know, there's a good argument for buying it. And on the day chart, I've just shown you a good reason and level for selling. So the euro, probably going to stay away from, guys. It's proving a bit tricky now. And that goes for any of them, like euro, New Zealand dollar. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to ignore that weekly candle, right? Chances are it will make its way back up to these highs, right? But again, we just wanted a bit more of a sell-off. Like if it come back down to this level, moving average 20 catching up, that's a really nice buying level. This, you know, if I start buying in here, is there any value? We've got this big wick here. Do we want to start buying into that? So another example of why euros become a little bit tricky. But if we look at the day chart, yeah, I mean, that's crying out for a buy. We were flirting with the idea of a downtrend, lower highs, right? But these lows held, and then look at this candle that's just broke these highs. So for this reason, we're above the moving average 20 and the daily chart is literally just become an uptrend because of this candle breaking these highs. Euro New Zealand is a buy trade back up to these highs here. All right, that is more clear than euro Canadian dollar. So if you think about that, guys, I am suggesting that CAD is stronger than New Zealand dollar, right? I'm willing to buy euro New Zealand dollar, but I'm not willing to buy euro Canadian dollar, right? So important that you understand those correlations as well. So that's the euro, guys. A little bit tricky, but do like euro New Zealand dollar buys. Also, Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't normally talk about Bitcoin, guys, but I'm seeing a nice little setup on Bitcoin. if we go to the weekly chart, right, you can see we've had this sell-off, right, breaking this low, right? It hit the big 100,000 level and people have lost their nerve, right? People are selling off. Yeah, so it came up, it just floated around the 100,000 level and then a sell-off, right? People have been selling at 100,000. It's such a big psychological level. You can't blame people, right? That's what that is. That's sentiment, right? But structurally, we've broken this level and we're now getting lower highs, lower lows. We're in a downtrend, right? This level here is super important, right? And looking at price, right, with this bearish candle, and bear in mind, guys, that is a weekly candle. That is an entire week of selling Bitcoin. Because of this weekly candle, you know, I still think there's room to take Bitcoin back down to this, you know, around this 73, 74 level, right? And then I think Bitcoin becomes a very nice buying opportunity at this level, back up to the 100,000s. All right, but price action is telling me we have a nice sell on Bitcoin back down to here. Now, you know, please bear in mind, Trump could open his mouth about Bitcoin and Bitcoin does that or that, right? It's a delicate little flower, Bitcoin, right? As soon as it hears something, it's right? Very fundamentally driven, but technically a good sell trade. Right, guys, there are a couple more things I am looking at. What are they? This is what I'm looking at. Now, Euro Pound, right? I actually like for a buy trade, right? We were looking at the Euro earlier. I would suggest this is clearer, right? Because it was just scruffy down here, right? But then bang, weekly uptrend, bang, all the way down to here, bang, all the way up to here, right? And we sort of kind of range between here and here now. But we've had a nice big bullish weekly candle, bounce off the moving average 20. I would suggest we can take Euro Pound back up to this 8,450 level, okay? And another really interesting one is Euro Swiss franc, because it's at such a beautiful level. And we were talking about Swiss franc, yen, gold, and flight to safety pairs in general. And Swiss franc is one of those, right? It's one of those currencies. But look at Euro Swiss franc, right? We're in this uptrend. It's retraced to a wonderful, what was once resistance becomes support, right? And we've got this nice bullish reaction at this level, right? We could potentially come back up to these highs. In fact, I moved my target down a little bit. I would aim for this 9,650, right? Psychological level. Because of this flight to safety and everything, you know, I still want to see price become a clear setup for me on the daily, because right now we are in a downtrend. We got lower lows. I would need to see something like this. Perhaps it hits off the moving average 20. We get a bit of this, and then it breaks a clear daily level. Then I will buy Euro Swiss franc back up to here. All right, guys. So yeah, that is my weekly analysis. Those are all my trade ideas, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button and smash the like button. Come join us for the live streams during the week. Also, don't forget to join our trading community and check out the website for all our trading education. All right. Have a great trading week. See you soon, guys.